Hello and welcome. What are we doing here, Matt? Welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast. It's only myself and Matt Kendrick, who I'll introduce shortly. For this morning's video, it's going to be a bit of a post-match from Leeds yesterday, and also a bit of a Q&A as well. So get your comments in, as always, and we'll get to you after we give our verdicts from yesterday's win at Ellen Road. Matt, are you okay?
I'm all right. Yeah, like I said, it's potentially chaotic here. It's like mum and dad's gone on holiday in the form of Dan Rollinson, and we've been left to wreak havoc. So I didn't know whether you were going to be the host with the most, or I don't know, the guest who's the best, or whatever. But I think even though you're probably half my age, I think you should take on the responsibility for grown adult and just press the right buttons and that kind of thing. So fingers crossed, it'll go swimmingly.
Yeah, I don't know if there will be any right buttons to be pressed. I don't know where the buttons are. Yeah, Dan is unable to do today's video. We didn't do a video yesterday either, do we? So we apologise for that. But we're going to get essentially straight into it, Matt. So kicks off your kind of overriding thoughts. We'll get into the details as we go on. I've got a few notes on my pad. But your overriding thoughts on yesterday's win, please.
I never got the memo, mate. Was I supposed to watch the match?
Ideally, it would help.
I actually predicted a 2-1 victory. I thought we were going to draw, but I went bold on my own Facebook page and predicted a 2-1 victory. I didn't see it coming first half on that pitch. John, you were actually in the stadium. Yeah. Was that pitch as bad as it looked on the telly?
Yeah, no, 100%. My at half time, I actually wrote down. I would have been told off by Mr. Rollinson by a text message. I've done something wrong, apparently. I will get to that, Dan. My view from the press box, relatively low down, and you could see the ground and the turf obviously cut up almost all the time, which, there we go, which obviously wasn't ideal. It felt a little bit like a Sunday League pitch, and that'd be a great Sunday League pitch, don't get me wrong, because it was hardly molehills until the second half. But yeah, I thought it was really slow. We're quite a slow team. The pitch was slow. I don't think it was ideal or very conducive for a good football match in general. So yeah, that was almost my first observation when the players were coming out. You could already see after the warm-ups that the turf was all cut up, which not ideal.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, don't get us wrong. But even as recently as the 90s, that would have been like a bowling green or a carpet or whatever that pitch. Yeah. But we're so used to seeing such impeccable standards in the Premier League that it was quite noticeable, really. And I think that combined with, I should imagine the weather up there was a bit nippy as well, and the home crowd were up for it when they scored early, and they were physical, and the referees seemed to let them leave a little bit more on us than us on them. I thought for the first 20 minutes, and it was like, is this our beloved Aston Villa? Is this what we're about? Going and standing up and fighting back? But yeah. I think we did exactly that, didn't we? I think we adapted, and it wasn't a game. I think Roger said in the post match that I saw on the telly that it wasn't really a game for playing too much nice, pretty football. So we had to go and compete, and it encouraged me that we could do that part of it as well.
Yeah. Firstly, thanks for the comment saying that my mic wasn't on. It's on now, I hope. Coming to half time, I was standing in the toilets and there was a Leeds fan in front of me, a Leeds fan behind me. I was sandwiched by Leeds fans, and they were both talking about how great a football match it was, and I was there nearly shaking my head, thinking, "What are they talking?" I thought it was a terrible game. I really did. And credit to Leeds, they were battling, and frankly, I think if they're going to stay in the Premier League, it's not going to be via good football, is it? I think they are going to have to scrap and fight at home more than anywhere else. And I do think that Villa struggled to match that in the first maybe 30 minutes. I think just before half-time, we had a few moments. I think it was a shot from Matty Cash. Ollie Watkins wrapped the ball wide, didn't he? Just wide of the far post. And then going into half-time, it was okay, well, Villa can't really be much worse than this, in my opinion. I thought it was a really ugly first half. And Leeds brought us down to their level. But I was frustrated by the lack of fight in the first half for the majority of it. But then, as you say there, the second half, I think we really did come back stronger. One point that I've got on my pad here, Matt, winning ugly. It's not a bad trait to have, is it?
Oh, I mean, it's Monday morning, John, to be honest. Not to be that harsh, but it's funny. I'm just returning to a point you made about your kind of half-time toilet trip.
Yeah.
I agree that it wasn't a great game for the purists, but I thought it was a brilliantly entertaining game as well. Just because it was a bit like a kind of basketball game at times. It was like we'll kind of land a blow on you, and then we'll go back. Maybe that was more kind of second half as people got tired. But I thought entertainment wise, I thought it wasn't boring. Let's put it that way. But agree that it wasn't particularly pretty. Although having said that, their goal wasn't particularly pretty, but the quality of our goals, I thought, were really, really brilliant goals. I'm sure we'll get on to Morgan Rogers soon. But listen, John, we've said this in previous podcasts, probably quite recently, that if Villa's away form was anywhere near as good as our home form, we'd probably be neck and neck with Arsenal at the moment. But I think that was a really, really important win. The fact that not only can we do it in difficult conditions, but the adversity of going a goal behind. I mean, let's talk about the goal, their goal, and the lines that the officials seem to draw around different parts of people's anatomy. Yeah,
well, obviously, me being in the press box, they only show kind of a flash of it. They didn't actually show the VAR screen from memory, but I've obviously seen it afterwards. Very confused how they drew the line from the elbow, right? Or just outside the elbow. That's not on.
Are you saying they don't know their arse from their elbow, John? Is that can we have that as a quote from John Townley? Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that about Rob Jones as well, the referee. Blimey. Poor referee, in my opinion. But yeah, I was baffled by that. I mean, to be honest, it looked offside from the first instance, and Dan James's moment towards the end of the second half as well, after we made it 2-1. But no, John, you talk about that match yourself, because I haven't seen too much of it. But just from the still I've seen, I'm a bit baffled by that.
I didn't think it was a foul on Martinez.
No.
I thought he should have been stronger. I think he made up for it with a couple of cracking saves, so I'm not gonna dig him out too much. I just think it was strange the way he came to collect the ball. I thought he'd probably collected the ball with his arms above his head, and had a better chance of gathering it. So, there might have been a little bit of dark arts from Leeds in terms of trying to get people around him to block his path, but that's football, isn't it? You see a lot of that. But it was weird because on the telly, the freeze frame that they gave, first of all, on the television, whether that was the one that Stockley Park were looking at, it looked quite clear that it was offside. But then by the time, the decision was given and 10 minutes later they put it back up on the screen and they've drawn all the lines and stuff like that, it seemed to be a different angle that they'd shown. And then when you see that close-up, almost like the kind of cartoon drawing version.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think the Leeds man must have been, fitting his foot into the boots that he wore at 8 years old, because they didn't include his whole foot, did they?
Yeah.
So listen, you can be kind of. It would probably have been a bigger deal had we not completed the turnaround. But I was seething for a few minutes. I thought, come on, Leeds, you've done us out of one there. Surely you've got to let us walk in an equaliser here.
yeah. Never done that before. First time for everything. Come on.
Was there much protesting from the Villa players over it, or not?
No, not really from memory. I think mainly the Martinez situation was one where I think everyone knew, to be honest, that either he should have been stronger or he just shouldn't have gone for that ball, and there was clearly no foul. So I think there was maybe momentarily there might have been some protests, but nothing that was.
Saw Martinez gave it the kind of hold, clutching his head.
Yeah. And I think that's probably it would have been that Villa players turn around and see the goalkeeper's holding his head and think, oh, okay, this needs to go to VAR, but no, nothing in it. And to be honest, and I thought this coming out of the game, and whenever a decision kind of goes against Villa or you think you're being hard done by, I always try and balance it out a little bit with what did Villa deserve. And I don't think we played well whatsoever in the first half. And for that reason, I think, maybe we deserve to be behind, because if you're not going to play to Leeds' level in terms of scrapping and fighting, and I don't think we did. I don't think we can have many arguments for going behind. I know you need a bit of luck in games, a decision to go your way or whatnot, but at halftime I didn't think, we don't deserve to be behind, or we don't deserve this. I think we probably got what we deserved a little bit. So for that reason, going into halftime, I was mainly frustrated by what I'd seen in terms of the quality of the game. And again, I think we're quite a slow team, a slow pitch. It was cutting up badly. I also, bit of a random thought really, and this probably suits the post-match. Yellow balls, but essentially a colourful ball that isn't white. Do you not think they move really slowly, or they look like they move slowly and they're quite heavy? Is that not? Is it just me that thinks that?
I don't know. Are they not? Is it not? Is that like things that have been placed in your mind in the past, though, because those balls would normally only come out when the pitch is not going to be running as smoothly.
Maybe, yeah, like they're in the wind and the rain, maybe, possibly. I can picture Paul Torres pinging or trying to ping balls left to right, and they would just kind of hang in the wind and then come straight back down and skid off the turf. And I just think, ugh, I wouldn't want to control that.
I mean, we need an expert in kind of physics and aerodynamics, but I'm not sure that the yellowness of it slows it down. You know, I've certainly rattled a pool ball in at speed, not on that surface, granted. But
no. Is there anything else you want to touch on the first half, Matt? Because I'm
there wasn't really great to it, was there? I mean, the thing I was going to mention was about, you know, were you surprised, given that Leeds were always going to be not quite dirty Leeds of old, but they're always going to be quite physical. Were you surprised that Tielemans got the nod over Onana?
Well, Onana wasn't in the squad, was he? So
I didn't can you give us an update on Onana? Why he wasn't in the squad, please,
John? Dan, can you edit? No, he didn't pass his late fitness test on the Saturday, so wasn't in the squad. But what I would say is I think he probably would have come in anyway, to be honest, just to kind of spare your blushes. I think he would have come anyway. No, I think we have seen what Onana brings to the team, and I think he would have been, in hindsight, if you look at that first half, you would say, actually, yeah, we do need Onana in that game because it was scrappy. But at the same time, I do think that we started to get gain control in the game in the second half, and I think a lot of that is to do with Tielemans. He's always looking forward. I can't quite remember it now. I think it was either 17 or 19 duels between Kamara and Tielemans. They won combined, which is a lot. If you think about, as you said earlier in our show, that in the first half, I don't think we fought as hard as Leeds. I don't think we were running as intensely as them. But come the second half, we were topping those stats in terms of duels won. So I don't know whether Unai put a rocket up. Can I say that? Rocket up their arse? I have now. I don't know if they did that, or if he did that. That's quite something. But either way, before the game, he was talking about how Villa can move into the top four. Mike Cash said after the match. So a motivation there, obviously, for Villa, and they've got the job done. So I do think in the second half, at least at half time, they would have been given some, I'll say home truths, but I just think matching Leeds' fight and desire, you'll probably win the game, because I don't think there's a lot of quality in that team. And there clearly is for the Villa side. So yeah, to kind of get back to your point, I do think Tielemans coming back into the team, it's not necessarily a baptism of fire. Obviously, he's played a few games before now, but first game after the international break, Ellen Road, rubbish pitch. Tielemans starting his first game for a long time for Villa. Probably not ideal circumstances, but in the end, I think, as you mentioned there, Rodgers, his quality shows, and we can get the win.
I think with Tielemans as well, it's not, I think sometimes it's almost seen as an Onana, big bloke, therefore your physical option. Tielemans, smaller bloke, finesse, etc., etc.
Technical, yeah.
They can both do both. And, you know, Tielemans are clearly probably, you know, a more refined, more cultured footballer than Onana. But Tielemans, he's a grafter as well. You know, he'll put himself about. He'll put his foot in and stuff like that. So it's not as if you're losing that much presence in there, because Tielemans will give you that in a kind of quiet, kind of efficient way. Mm-hmm. Other thing I wanted to ask you about was, obviously, first half, the only real chance we've had of note is when Watkins has whipped that one just past the post from the edge of the box, and obviously desperate to see that go on target and go in. Yeah. What did you think about him? Because it's another game without a goal. The drought goes on. I'm pretty relaxed about it in games when we're scoring goals and winning football matches, to be honest, because I do think he still contributes. But I think there's almost this, what is it? Is he being starved of service? Is he out of form? I think it's probably a combination of both. But where are you at with him at the moment?
I think it's really difficult. It's now 4 goals in 31 games for Ollie, which is way below his standards, goal scoring standards, as we know. Tuchel obviously said at the start of the international break, or just beforehand when the squad was picked for England, or even before Villa's game against Bournemouth, that he'd been carrying something, so he didn't want to take him to the England camp for fitness reasons. He was obviously brought off yesterday as well. I think partially that might have been due to fitness. There's no escaping it that he's clearly not, as managers would say, in a good moment, and he's lacking confidence. However, and this might irk some fans, I think if you watch just solely, and I'll kind of go on to the second point in a second, but if you watch solely the highlights of the game, you wouldn't look at that and think, oh, Watkins looks bang out of form, because he's nearly scored what would be one of his better goals in a Villa shirt, I would suggest, because it was a really nice effort, just went past the post. He's obviously had that moment as well when he cuts him from the left, very like trademark Ollie Watkins, and gets a shot off, doesn't quite go in. But I remember he did something very similar against Brentford last season in that 1-0. I don't know if you remember this, Matt. Comes in off the left, shoots towards goal, takes a big deflection and goes in, and we win the game 1-0. And that's the difference. Then it's Ollie Watkins being the match winner. And should we say luck is on his side, and he's kind of cashing in on that, and Villa go home with 3 points and, you know, charging towards the Champions League as we were last season. But this time round, he misses by a few inches, and the keeper obviously saves his effort in the second half. I think his overall play obviously isn't as good as we've seen it, and he's not scoring goals. So ultimately, we can't really give a positive assessment of Ollie Watkins at the moment. We just can't. I do think against Bournemouth, he played well. Didn't score, of course, but I was seeing signs that I liked of Ollie. But unfortunately, it's very hard to be positive. And I think if we are to kind of paint a positive light about Ollie, it's kind of with tinted glasses, to be honest. So I will say, yeah, he's out of form. He does need to improve. But at the same time, I've said this on lots of different occasions, I don't think we have another player like Ollie in the squad who you can just put in the team and expect all of a sudden us to be okay. Or, do you know what I'm trying to say? For example, when Marlon comes on the pitch, people will be saying, this is why Marlon should be playing ahead of Watkins. Marlon wouldn't be in that position to make that assist for Rodgers if he was playing between the posts. Who would we bring on instead of Marlon to make that assist? Would it be Gesson? And I don't think that would be wise, because we haven't seen enough from him. So it's difficult. I almost feel like we're kind of fixed with some players who are out of confidence. And Emery said it after the game as well, that you're speaking about Rodgers and said that we're getting confidence. Rodgers is getting confidence with goals. And he mentioned we have work to do with others. You could probably name Watkins, Gesson, Sancho, maybe a couple more in that. I just think if he can get a goal, I think it will just do him the world of good. And I said this before the last international break when we were playing at home to Maccabi. I want Ollie to start that game just to get a goal, however which way. And to be honest, even if he played in that game, I don't know if he would, because it was such a poor football match. But with young boys and Wolves coming up, I almost feel like this is such an important week for him. I think he'll target those games as this is a real opportunity for me. If he doesn't score against young boys or Wolves, then again, that's going to be 33 games with only 4 goals. That's nearly a full season. So I'm hoping this week we can kind of get over the Watkins debate or conversation. For me, undoubtedly, he needs to improve. But then the second part to that is, what is the solution to this?
Is that almost the dilemma, John, that at the moment Emery's got 3 choices? If you boil it down to 3 choices, whereby if we think that Watkins' goal scoring form is so poor right now over a fairly lengthy sample period, that you take him out of the team, that's an option. But then you create the problem, which I don't think we'll solve until next summer, of having a number 9 who can compete or support him. That's option number 1. Yeah. Option number 2 is that, does Emery need to tweak the system? You know, does he need to get, somebody said in the comments further up, can't see it now, but do you need to play Marlon up alongside him and create a system where you can play, you know, Marlon centrally and Watkins as, you know, both as a 2? That would have a wider impact on what you do around it. And then the third option is, do you just think we've won? Is it 6 out of 7 in the Prem now, John? Is that the right
6 out of 7. 6 out of 7.
Yeah. 6 out of the 7. Ollie Watkins has started pretty much every game, I believe.
Yeah.
And guess what? As a team, because that's what we're all here for. As a team, we're up to 4th in the Premier League. We won 6 games out of 7, and we found a way of other goals. I'm not trying to excuse Watkins. He's paid a lot of money to score goals, but ultimately, him being in the team hasn't prevented us from going on this 6 out of 7 game winning run. So that's an option as well. I mean, in my mind, Emery will probably continue to choose that option? Am I? What do you? I was going to say, am I right? Am I right, Jack?
Yeah, no, I make it right because, as I said, I don't see the alternative. I really don't, because you go through it. It's Marlon, it's Gesson. Is that it? Of players who can play as a number 9,
No,
but
I suppose Rodgers could play there at a push.
But then you're taking him. But then it's valid.
But he's starting too far up the pitch to
exactly
make the impact that we know he can from
yeah.
deep.
So I think it's quite easy to kind of get lost in the Watkins needs to be taken out of the team. He's not contributing or whatever, if that's your opinion. But then what is the solution here? For me, it can't be Marlon playing instead of Watkins, because I think they need to be on the pitch together, or Marlon needs space to roam, and Watkins needs to be between the posts. In this system, you need a number 9 who can run the channels, of course, but in and around the box, you need him to be in a specific position. And we've seen Marlon play as a sole number 9 before, and I'm not convinced by it. And then Gesson as well, I'm not convinced by him, full stop. And that's, adapting to the Premier League, whatever it may be. He's been played on the right. Maybe that's not his best position. But I'm happy to stick with Ollie for now. I said this before, nothing can change until January. And even then, question marks over what can happen in that window. But that's a lot. We've got a month of football to play, a lot of games before then. So I'm hoping next week, or this week even, that Ollie can get back among the goals. And if he does, I think we'll be in a much better place. And something that I also mentioned after, I don't know, walker talks, whatever, Matt, would be Villa have won 6 out of 7. We've won in the league. We've won 9 out of 11 Premier matches in all competitions. We're on an absolute tear. But we don't have a striker that's scoring goals. I think there's more to come from Morgan Rodgers. I think there's more to come from a number of different players. I have question marks over Gesson, Sancho, Harvey Elliott. He's essentially not a Villa player at the moment. He's not playing. We'll get on to him shortly, maybe. But do you know what I mean? It's not as if we're all firing and we're all... But still, I think there's probably a conversation that Villa are the second best team in the Premier League, even with all of that.
Listen, it's Villa, so they'll find a way of pulling the rug, John. Don't make no mistake about that. But it is, when you phrase it like that, it is quite a tantalising prospect that we've been able to put this run of form. And listen, with the exception of the Bournemouth game, we haven't given anybody a proper shoeing or a proper battering, but we've been able to generate this really fantastic positive momentum with, like you say, our centre forward. Down on his luck, if you like, and with, Tielemans has only just got back. Our player of the year from last season has only just got back, into the team. So it is a frightening prospect. If we click even more, I mean, don't get me wrong, we'll probably have 6 players banned for 3 games or something if that prospect comes along. But I mean, I suppose switching the kind of this into a positive narrative from a game where we've got a fantastic away result. Let's talk about kind of Marlon then, in the context of what he did to come on and help turn that game. Yeah,
I think the game was screaming out for Marlon. Was not surprised to be seeing him warming up without his bib on or without his joggers on or whatnot. So, as I said before, slow pitch. I think we are a slow team. We need pace. Marlon is one of a few players who can run in behind and actually cause issues as well. It's one thing kind of stretching the defence, but he has quality as well, as we know. The one thing with Marlon that I always say this, when he first joined, a lot of Dortmund fans or whoever would be saying, he's a very confidence-based player, so he needs confidence to perform. I don't see that. I almost see it the other way of when he doesn't play, he's almost got a point to prove, and he always does make or tries to make that impact. And quite often, that is the case, and usually it is coming off the bench as well. I remember Leon Bailey from 2 years ago when he would come off the bench and he'd be scoring and getting assists, and that isn't quite what Marlon's doing, but I think he has the potential to be that player for us, or whether he's just starting in general. We obviously saw him play with Watkins against Burnley to devastating effect in that match yesterday. In hindsight, maybe that's what we should have done again. Definitely want to see more of him. But what I would say, I do think the finish that Rodgers applied to that cross is sublime, and don't want to kind of make this a Morgan Rodgers chat in the Marlon section, but part of me actually preferred, this might sound a bit sort of like hipster, but I preferred that first goal to Rodgers' free kick, actually. I just think the technique to pull across your man, hold him off, and then just kind of deft flick at the near post. It was like Giroud style, wasn't it? But that chance doesn't come about if Marlon isn't positive, breaking into space and supplying the cross.
I'm here. I'm a left footer, mate, so I'm here for the south paws anyway. So I'm big fan of that first finish. John, this is a very Matt Kendrick question.
Oh,
Do you think Marlon? Do you think Marlon has got the face of a much older man?
Yeah, and
he's rapid, but he looks to me like little bit got a bit of a kind of hangdog expression, like he's life's got the better of him.
Yeah, when I've interviewed Marlon twice/3 times, and yeah, it is like that. He's a lovely guy, by the way. We're not. It sounds like we're.
Oh no,
he's a lovely chap.
I just think he's
a lovely chap. But yeah, you're right. The kind of way he carries himself a little bit is a sort of bit, kind of the world's against him. I don't know. But then you'll see him on social media sometimes having like a joke and stuff, and I always smile when I see him smiling himself, because he's one of those players that he does look a bit down in the dumps sometimes, but then
you've seen those football freestylers, like he's an old man and he's decrepit, and then the ball rolls up to him and he starts doing
yeah
a bit like that. You can imagine you like thinking, he gets on the pitch, you're thinking, who's this veteran, and then all of a sudden he's just he's rapid though, isn't he? He's razzed past you in no time.
Give him 20 quid. Actually, that reminds. It's completely unrelated. Yesterday, and the cameras wouldn't have picked this up, but actually, two things. Did you see the fan that walked across the Villa bench to have a go at Farker? Did you see that?
I didn't see it at the time, but I've seen it since. Didn't he say get Dan James on, and then he got Dan James on about 2 minutes later?
So there's another story about Dan James I'll bring up in a second, but he's just walked across the Villa bench, and I straight away, he's wearing jeans or something, like casual clothing. I just presumed he was like a former pro or something, and he's got like a luxury seat or something, like, he's celebrated. Maybe they've reserved his number or something. But yeah, he's walking across, and all of a sudden he just starts wagging his finger, and I'm thinking, oh no, terrible from the security guards. And there's another one earlier in the first half, I think, or second half maybe. Dan James is warming up, doing his sprints around the side, and again, a fan literally comes over to the sponsor boards, calls him over, and for a few minutes he's just having a chat with him, almost like giving him tactical advice and whatnot. So they must think really badly of Daniel Farker. And even the steward was letting him have this chat, and poor Dan Jones was just taking it like from this chap who's probably none the wiser.
We'll all be doing that as a premium experience soon. You can pick the team or name the subs.
Pick the team, yeah.
Cost you like 15 grand a match.
After run of the dugouts, Jesus.
Go on, let's move on to Morgan Rogers. I've got a nice story about Morgan Rogers that I'll kick off on. Basically, there's a fella that I know, big Villa fan, called Ant, and I know his dad Brian through kind of Hallis Hawks, Morgan Rogers things that are involved in helping us set up that Morgan Rogers backstory piece that is still available on YouTube if people want to check it out. So there you go, Dan. You can tick that off on the promotion bingo. Basically, because of the Hallis Hawks link, Ant's daughter needs some kind of special treatment and physio, and they had a fundraising campaign, and Morgan Rogers donated a signed shirt for the auction. Now the auction took place yesterday. Now I don't know if it took place yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening, but Morgan Rogers scoring two great goals in a away Villa win clearly boosted the price anyway. So made 700 quid. And just while I'm here giving this shout out, Isaac Price from West Brom donated a shirt that made 130 quid. Josh March, who used to play for Hallis Hawks, now plays at Crewe, donated shirt and boots that made 85 quid. So 2,000 quid went towards this fundraising thing for Ant's daughter. So I thought I'd give that a shout out. So not only is Morgan Rogers a super cool finisher, but he's a super cool, generous ex Hallis Hawks, Cradley, one of our own. So I think we've seen a lot of nonsense, John, about Morgan Rogers earlier this season as well. His body language, gives the ball away too much. Has he had his head turned by playing for England? He's a class act. I'd hate to see him go. And it's not all about scoring two goals that win you a game, but I think that's probably reminded people that we probably should be a little bit more patient and a little bit more grateful for what we've got.
Yeah, and again, in the video that I did yesterday, part of the caption, I wanted to kind of, on Twitter, you're only allowed certain characters, aren't you? But I wanted to kind of express that of, he really did come from a difficult start of the season, and he didn't play very well. But I do think that a lot of fans were ultra harsh on him, and I'm not totally sure why. I think there was obviously some sort of speculation of, he's down tools because he want to move or whatever it may be. He's signed 2 contracts at Villa, in the space of 12 months. He's been a key part of what we've done. I really didn't see the sort of animosity towards him. I know he didn't play very well, but he's not doing that on purpose, is he? Everyone goes through kind of tough spells. And the key thing for me, and I always say it, he never shirked responsibility, did he? He was always looking for the ball. He didn't hide. We've seen a lot of Villa players hide before. And in Villa Park, it can be a very lonely place if you're not playing well. And he was receiving sarcastic cheers when he made a successful pass. That was horrible. Didn't like that at all. I think we all agree that
was that, John? Was that one of the European
Bologna?
games?
Yeah, Bologna, yeah. And kind of
that's even more interesting to me in the context of I don't know whether people have seen the excellent John McGinn double part documentary that Villa have done. It's brilliant. It is really, keep watching us for now, but if you get a spare kind of hour, watch it. And McGinn, is it the Forest game under Gerrard?
Yeah.
Now, I've seen some fans saying that wasn't aimed at McGinn. That was aimed at Gerrard or at the wider situation. But McGinn speaks quite openly and honestly. It's quite blunt and brutal, saying that was one of his lowest ebbs when he thought the fans were like cheering him being taken off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, it sounds really patronising, but sometimes we forget that these footballers are human. And I'm not saying that we have to forgive them everything and we expect basic standards and that kind of thing. But ultimately, I think it just shows the difference that we can make when we support as well. Yeah. So I've seen that Morgan Rogers thing. Look at me. I'm not saying I'm any better than any other fan, but I wasn't a fan on that Bologna game. I was frustrated.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I almost think with the
work.
Yeah, it was exactly. I think it's that. It's just. I actually think at the time, kind of not backpedaling here, but at the time, I remember saying, I think it was a bit of people kind of having a bit of a joke, and then it was too many people that did it at the same time when it came out. Like it was almost like, oh, and it was like, oh, didn't mean to. I hope you didn't hear that, but it still happened, and it's not nice for any player, especially he's just turned 23 back in July. Well, I'd say that's a while ago now this summer, but he's 23 now. He's not an experienced professional just because he's had this kind of meteoric rise at Villa. Probably the best player in his England age group when he was like 17 or 18. Obviously Jude, I think he's the same age. But yeah, he's had quite a fascinating career already, Morgan Rogers. So I think that's helping him to deal with these situations. And by the way, to have a manager like Emery, I think it almost, don't know quite how to word this, but I think he will value Unai even more now, having gone through a difficult start to the season. And Emery would have been saying to him every single day, like, different things, motivation or whatever it may be, but I'm going to stick with you. I think it's best for you if you play yourself through this. And I remember after one of the games, Villa won I can't remember now. Was it City maybe? I can't quite remember. But after the match, he said, Emery started talking about how Rodgers will be better for these experiences and situations. So even after the Fulham game or Burnley game, I can't quite remember now, Villa had started to win matches and we'd beaten Feyenoord, had beaten Bologna, of course, but it was still the conversation about Rodgers not being in form and he needs to be dropped. But Emery stuck to his guns. And I think there could still be a conversation about, well, maybe he should have been dropped. But I would argue that maybe his confidence would have been broken if he had been dropped, and then he's on the bench and he's on the sidelines and other players playing ahead of him. The fact that he stayed through this and Emery stuck with him, Rodgers sees, or will see, I'm sure, a lot of kind of faith that Unai has in him. And I hope that sort of reciprocated. And obviously he's just signed that new deal as well, which kind of goes a long way for that too. So no, 2 fantastic goals from Rodgers. And it's funny because earlier in the season, we're talking about how nothing's working for him. Yesterday, I wouldn't say everything worked for him, but to score the free kick and the quality that he showed there, and then again the flick at the near post, which I actually preferred. That is single-handedly won Villa the game.
Yeah, I think that kind of vote of confidence that the manager gave him, and as somebody said here, that he's probably giving Watkins now. Yeah, I think that's massive for both players because like you say, they don't set out wanting to play badly. Not that I'm saying Watkins has been playing badly, but he's not been taking, not been scoring
not
goals.
Level, no.
And I think having a manager who can believe in you like that, I think it just must make you think, well, okay, keep doing the right things, keep working hard, keep making those runs. And I think it's been proven, and hopefully Watkins has his day sooner rather than later. Talk me through that. Talk me through the free kick then. I mean, I don't know what this. I saw something on Villa Stato that Villa had scored something like, three direct from free kicks in the last kind of 3 years, and now it's like double decker buses where two turn up at once. But clearly, I've been practicing it, haven't they?
Yeah, and I remember maybe 3 years ago now, I had a brief interaction with Mr. McPhee, and he spoke about how they use the TrackMan, what they use for golf, right? I'm not into golf myself, but it was very technical. And at the time, it was funny because they had Buendia on this clip, and I was thinking, Buendia's never taken a free kick for Villa, so when are we going to see this? And obviously, he was so close to leaving the club, and we kind of pushed him out a little bit. No one expected him to be coming back. So when he stood for the free kick the other day against Bournemouth, I thought, is this finally the day that we're going to see this dipper from Buendia? And it was. His free kick against Leeds was not anywhere near the level of that one. But then for Rodgers to do the same thing, clearly it's something they've been working on. Rodgers did say after the game, he's been practicing it, not as much as Buendia. But I think, how do I put it? Some years ago, I think there was some kind of question marks over, not question marks, but I don't know, kind of skepticism over what's the point in the set piece coach and all these different things. I do think McPhee is absolutely invaluable. I really do. And we know that set pieces are now more important this season more than ever. But if you look at the goals that Villa have scored, there's so many occasions where it's come from dead ball situations. And granted, I do think Villa need to improve defending them. We have considered a lot of chances and goals from set piece situations, be it throw-ins, corners, or free kicks like yesterday. But I do think that there's more kind of weight to say that Aston should be judged more so on attacking set pieces, because although it's a player's quality to stand over a free kick and score, that's not quite down to Aston exactly. Of course, he plays a key role in it in terms of how Villa have practiced and all the technology they use. But defending them, for me, is more of like an art of defending. That, for me, is Martinez not making that decision to claim the ball, or, as you said earlier, claiming it with a high punch or whatever. It's not letting the player run behind you. I think if you defend them correctly, you're positioned well and you can defend them. In terms of attacking, it's sequences and it's much more detailed and much more, again, weighted to Aston for me. So, yeah, I think it's worth kind of speaking about him. Is there anything else you wanted to mention on the match? Just quickly for everyone watching, please get your comments in and we'll try and try and answer a few of your questions if anyone's got any before we wrap up.
Just on the Aston McPhee thing, I thought he said a lot that Rodgers made a beeline for him with his celebration. Yeah. So much so that it prompted me to tweet, "Who's the nanny?" Sorry, that's terrible. That is. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you to a certain degree, John. But I do think the set piece coach needs to be judged at kind of both ends. And I know we've probably in the past dug him out a little bit when we have been too sloppy from set pieces. Yeah. I wouldn't lay the blame. I'd lay the blame of that first goal at Martinez's door. To be honest, I wouldn't lay the blame at Austin's door, especially when he's knackered his knee, hasn't he? Is he back on his feet again now? Is he still on crutches?
Still on crutches. It's I don't know exactly what the injury was that he suffered, but it seems to be a pretty nasty one.
We'll get well soon, Aston, and keep those free kick goals coming. I'll tell you what I wanted to mention, John, as well, was on the I thought straight away we'd scored that goal to go 2-1. I thought, oh yes, we were in the driving seat.
Oh yeah.
Go down the other end and stick the ball in the net. I don't know whether you could see with kind of naked eye from straight away whether there'd be like the handball or whatever. But I had a couple of tense moments. But that was soon evaporated with. Have you seen the clip of Tielemans
just laughing?
They're just laughing in his face. Just amused me, that has.
Yeah, very good. I didn't see it even came off Cavaloon actually at the time. I actually thought, Daniel James is definitely offside, but I think possibly because he's so quick, it's easy to miss. But even from the naked eye, it looked a little bit offside. But anyway, clear handball. I was relieved. I the amount of times where you're obviously in the press box, you have all the away fans around you, and it's quite hostile, especially after they've just scored, and they're like, what, what's going on? What are they checking? And they're all kind of leaning over to check the monitor, and I'm just there like, but then so when you see a handball, turn around and say, yeah, handball, guys, sit down. Not that deliberately, but yeah, it's always a massive relief. I remember a couple of seasons ago when Son scored a hat trick of offside goals. Jesus, yeah, I was not in a good way. But yeah, massive relief when it comes up Calvert-Lewin's hand. I didn't see the smiles on the monitor until after the game, but yeah, clearly the players must have seen something. In fact, I know they did, because there was a big uproar. I think it was from Kamara and Martinez. They all went out straight away and said handball, which I was a bit confused about again, because I didn't see that it even came off Calvert-Lewin. But yeah, we escaped that one. But it's funny because in the match, you're always kind of dreading, what if Sean Longstaff can hit one from 30 yards and it goes top corner? But if you watch the game back, Leeds really don't have much quality, and there wasn't much to kind of fear. Don't get me wrong, Daniel James getting in behind was a problem, but apart from that, I really don't think that they were much trouble for us. I don't think we played particularly well, but my overall thought was just get out of there with 3 points. It's an away game in the Premier League, and you're always going to kind of come under some pressure, but it wasn't enough pressure for us to fold in the end.
I know of liking you to Jesse, like a young Jesse Marsh before. You didn't have to sign the autographs, did you?
Or no.
Jesse and replace Daniel Farker, that kind of thing.
I don't think so. No. I did say to my friends before the game, the first time I went to Ellen Road, I don't know if you remember this, probably not. The Sky Sports cameras panned to Jesse March because he was in the stands, and it was the road just behind me. And I'd like to think that there was absolutely no resemblance. So I'm going to try and dig out that photo to prove you wrong.
Somebody said that Daniel Marlon looks like me on the Wii Sports game or something.
Did you see Ollie? I don't know if Ollie Watkins is doing Movember, but he's got a tash going, hasn't he? I don't know if you saw that.
Oh well, he's not. I hope he's not doing like that Man United fan that he's gonna. He's not gonna shave it until we scored 6 goals or whatever.
yeah. That Jesus. Yeah. What are we dealing with there?
I've got a couple of questions, John, for you. Well,
yeah, right.
A couple of questions that I asked for some questions. One of them's quite serious, but I've not given you any prep on it. I've not done any homework on this. How do we think the new financial regulations could impact Villa going forward?
Okay, yeah. Wasn't expecting that one. So it's now more.
That's from Andy Stevens, by the way. Sorry.
Are these in the comment section that's come up, by the way?
These are all. I put a call out on Facebook.
Oh, nice. Weekend. Oh, good stuff.
Doing a bit of prep, mate.
I'm really impressed. Good.
I want a nice shiny sticker from Dan when he comes back.
yeah, gold star. Okay, so firstly, the new financial rules will essentially align with UEFA's. So for that reason, I think it's good, because Damian has often spoke to us about how it's like doing 2 puzzles with the light turned off when you got PSR and SCR, which is UEFA. So as we know, that's 70% of revenue Villa have had telling off. Previously, they had a penalty, didn't they? Financial penalty and a sporting sanction as well, which is that they need to have a positive transfer balance. So not ideal. And the only positive I can make out of this is that it's aligning. So they're not doing 2 different things. It's now focused on one thing of just raise your revenue, Villa. We knew that already, and now it's kind of doubled down to that. However, people keep talking about how it's 85% of your revenue, and how that's quite a big leniency. Yeah, forget that, because Villa have to, if they're in Europe, they need to align with UEFA. So it's 70%, and that's that. Villa, if they're in European competitions, will be on 70% of their revenue. They can spend that on their squad costs. That's kind of the bottom line of it. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. We knew this already. We're going to have to sell players, but it is what it is. We've sold players, and we are now 4th in the Premier League, having had a terrible summer, realistically, because we couldn't bring anyone in. I think the players we've signed haven't really touched anywhere near form. In fact, Harvey Elliott essentially, again, isn't really playing for Villa. Jadon Sancho, I think it's a question mark over him for me in January. Do we need him? Do we need to pay those wages? I'm not convinced. Gesson is a player that you can hope has to adapt after AFCON probably now. So yeah, it's going to be a struggle, but it is what it is. Villa know they need to raise the revenue. It's so important. Francesco Calvo, I do think, has got arguably the hardest or biggest job at the club. obviously Unai Emery is the most important man, as well as the owners, but it's such an important job that he has Calvo. It's massively important. So Villa have to raise the revenue. It's pretty simple. The only thing that I can say positive, again, to kind of wrap this up, is just that it aligns now with UEFA's rules. So we're not doing 2 different puzzles, we're doing one. Unfortunately, it's the hardest one.
In terms of raising revenue, John, could they put chimneys around the
I mean,
ground and do cremations and get money in that way? I don't know.
Yeah, who can bring in the biggest hot dogs? Again, it's Calvo's wish to do all of these different things now. We need to raise the revenues. The only thing I would say is that if Blues are going to get this kind of big campus, shall I say, off the ground or on the ground even in the next 5 to 10 years, I think 2030 to 31 was their kind of plan. Forget the stadium for now. I think it's everything else they're trying to do. Villa Park will always be the best stadium in the second city for me. It always will be. You can't replicate that. But then I would argue that Blues, if they are going to bring in an arena and different ways of raising revenue, host NFL games or whatever it may be, that will help their finances. And I don't want to talk too much about this, of course, but I would just say I'm interested to see how Villa may respond to that, because we clearly have a plan of a warehouse and different things, and that's great. But Blues will have, if their plans are to be achieved, more scope, I think, to kind of bridge that gap, the financial revenue gap, quite well for them. So just interested to see how Villa respond to it. Really, will they try and do bigger and better, or will they just say, okay, Blues, you can have your I don't know what they're doing, like an arena or a concert venue or whatever it may be, and we'll just do our thing. I don't know, but obviously at the moment there's a massive disparity between 2 clubs. But I would also add that I think it's a good thing for Midlands football if the second city derby is alive and kicking in the future, should we say. I don't think that can be a bad thing for either club. So that's what I'll say on that part. But interesting to see where the next years go in terms of Villa and making that revenue.
Right, that's a very serious answer to a very serious question, John. The next one is from Paul Wolfenden. Who would win an arm wrestle? John Townley or Adama Traore?
Oh, come off it, Adama. I don't know. Jesus Christ, no chance. Have you ever seen
the opportunity to have, like when they do the kind of weigh-ins before the big fights?
I don't want to fight him. That's
you ain't going to fight him. You ain't going to fight him. We just need to grease you both up. It might be another kind of late night claret and blue extra.
Who's doing the greasing?
I don't know, mate. Maybe we can offer that. Maybe we could.
Rollo be in the comments shortly, won't he?
Competition on that. I think. I don't know, John, because you're a little man, but you're quite
cheers, mate.
quite buff and quite hench, aren't you? But I could just see him kind of throwing you around like a rag doll. That's my only.
Concern. I'll be honest, mate. I don't think it needed an answer, to be fair. So can we just move on?
we shall move on. Okay, yeah. Another one. This is my last one that I've got. Yeah. This is from Angela Flange. Would you rather have the ability to talk to animals or speak every human language from across the globe?
Okay, that's hard. Okay, we'd all love to talk to animals, right? But what would be the purpose of it?
Well, they're going to be on the same intellectual plane as us to converse.
Or they're
going to be too smart for us.
If you want to, okay, Matt, you can go to Twycross Zoo and talk to the elephants. But what's the...
this feeds back. The previous one we did in the 1000th special when it was which animal would you rather have play? Now, in those circumstances, if you got an animal playing, then you'd want to talk to them, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But the ability to speak, converse in any language, I think that's probably more beneficial. Depends what you want to do it for, whether you want an ease of life. I mean, me, not that I'm particularly materialistic, but what would make you the most money? I mean, if you could speak to the animals, that would probably be quite a trick. You could probably take that on a travelling roadshow, couldn't you?
Yeah.
But also, if you could speak,
I think if you put your mind to it, you can obviously speak a lot of languages. You can never speak to animals if you put your mind to it, unless you have this kind of superpower. So you've convinced me there. I would speak to animals and make a lot of money out of it. I think it would be interesting. Like, I don't know, what's that pigeon outside thing? It wouldn't be interesting, would it, what pigeon was thinking? From not thinking about much at all.
Who's that translator? That young lady on is she on TNT and she's like super multilingual.
Alex, I think Alex Ojoy, I think
it might be, but
yeah,
how would
like
that? So she's good because she can ask a question in one language, get it receive the answer in that same language, translate.
that would be you and a.
Well, this is what I'm thinking about. Like, if you've got a chat show and you've just got a kind of walrus on a chat show, you could do it anyway, couldn't you? You could just make that up. That could just be the world's biggest blag, couldn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you could say, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah," and like the walrus goes back and just claps its hands or whatever. The walrus still has hands, and then you say, "Yes, yes." The walrus was telling a really funny anecdote about when it was in West Hollywood. Shall we move on?
Chicken Little or something? What's the movie? I don't know.
Stop to do little, isn't it? Where you can talk.
What have I? What's Chicken Little? I don't know what that is. I don't know what I've done there. Dan editing. Yeah, that one needs to talk to the animals, doesn't he? But does he get anywhere? I haven't watched the movie. Does he get anywhere in life?
Mate. I'm not on that. Tell us in the comments. Tell us the plot of Dr. Dolittle in the comments. Would it be worth us learning animal language or becoming multilingual? Anyway, moving on. John, do you want to rescue this for the next kind of 5 or 10 minutes before we call it a day?
Do I? There was a question that I quickly wanted to. I mean, it's not getting into much here, but I did want to touch on it. Of course, I've lost the comment, haven't I? Yeah, I've lost the comment. Sorry, guys. first time doing this. But it was a question about Harvey Elliott, and I do want to quickly touch on it. Do you think it's now got to a point, Matt, where this is quite obvious that he's just going to go in January, go back to Liverpool?
I'm really shocked and frustrated that it's come to this, because I would like to see what a fit, firing, Emery approved Harvey Elliott would look like. It was the one that when deadline day, if I said this before, deadline day come after the Palace game. Was it the Palace game?
Day after, yeah.
Yeah. It was the one thing that kind of raised my spirits, because I thought, and it wasn't as if you thought you were bringing in I don't know, let's say for argument's sake, a John Duran who would have needed a lot of looking after in terms of his attitude, if you like. So I thought Harvey Elliott was a good footballer, a good pro, somebody who could be versatile across the front line and would either be a regular starter or would be a really good option from the bench. So I'm disappointed that it's come to this. I don't know, John. I know Emery's played a fairly straight bat in terms of saying he's trained well. I like him. He's a good player, etc., etc. He wouldn't be the first manager who would be economical with the information that he gives. Let's say that. But I don't know. He looks like he's done here for me. He looks like he's a spent force, really, in terms of as an Aston Villa loanee.
Yeah, I don't think you can have. And George Hemmings, by the way, I wrote him very highly. I think anyone who's watched him would say the same thing. But unless there's an issue that we don't know about, but no one's mentioned anything about Elliott, and apart from that, that's kind of like a new low for him now at Villa, surely. It's a shame for him, but what I would say is maybe Liverpool need him. So maybe he can go back there and actually get game time. But yeah, I think now with kind of the question, you spoke to Emery, of course, on Friday, and the questions we were asking about Emi Buendia at the time. And then I asked Emery, is that kind of the sole reason why Elliott can't get in this team? As the team news on Sunday showed, it wasn't. But Emery did say there's kind of different things, and adaptation takes longer. I now think we've got to the point of, Unai, is he going to go back? Because it's not, you can't pull the wool over anyone's eyes here. Now it's kind of a it's blatant essentially. He's not been in the last 4 Premier League squads. I don't think one of them was, of course, Liverpool, but then City, Bournemouth, and the last game. It'll probably be in the BSC Young Boys team. Squad to play the Young Boys. Because it's a bigger squad and you have more options on your bench. So if he's not in that, then wow. But yeah. And then one more question that I wanted to quickly highlight, if there is any more, quickly get them in. Bottom line is we need to sign a proper number 9. Ollie's time as main man is numbered. Still placing the squad, but can't rely on him goals anymore. Yeah, I mean, I understand part of that question. I think just the key thing for me, and it kind of ties into the financial rules that I just mentioned then, and it's kind of maybe it's probably a podcast in itself, to be fair, so I won't go on forever, but I'm a little bit wary of how we're going to raise money to buy top players in this team. I think there's key elements to it. Your Morgan Rogers and other players who we all don't want to see leaving. So I'm not going to touch on that necessarily. But Watkins as his value is now probably its lowest point since he joined Villa for different reasons: his age, contract, and form. But then what are we going to do in terms of bringing in this striker that's going to bang in 20 goals a season? They're not easy to find, and many teams don't have them. Villa may not have one this season, or maybe not even 15 goals that Watkins will score this season. But I just don't think it's as easy, and it's kind of cut and dry to think that we can just bring in another striker in January, the hardest market that there is, to then bring in a player who's going to score goals for a price which we can pay. I'm not sure. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Matt, but
it's a hard one because, if you're selling in, like I say, Watkins' value will have dipped certainly on recent form. But if you're selling Watkins to fund or part fund another striker, you've actually then got to sign two strikers.
Yeah.
In a way, haven't you? You've got to. Otherwise, you might be left with the same situation again. I don't know, what's that Swedish fellow at Liverpool? He's probably going to be available, isn't he? For about, he'd probably get him for 250 grand.
He won't score any goals, though, will he?
There is that problem. Although Emery might get a tune out.
Yeah.
I don't know, John. I don't see us going big in the transfer market in January. There's still so much up in the air. If we've established ourselves in the top four and we're top 4 or 5 and we're 15 points clear by then. By the end of January, then go for it. But I don't think Villa, given how close they've sailed with the financial regulations and the manoeuvring they've had to do in recent seasons, I don't think they're going to commit to a big money gamble in the middle of the season. I think at least at the end of the season, you know exactly where you are in terms of what money you've got coming in to a degree for the next season.
Mm-hmm.
I think January is too much of a risk, and if Villa are able to sustain this without Watkins' goals, great. If Villa are able to sustain this and Watkins can get a new lease of life, then I think this is probably a problem that we can potentially kick down the road till next summer.
Yeah. I think that is the point. But as you mentioned there, kind of kick down the road. I think it's more of an issue in general. I think we do have an aging squad, and I'm not totally convinced. Sorry to end this on a bit of a negative note, but just in terms of the rules, because it was brought up earlier, a little bit wary of how that can play out for us, because I think there's a few positions where we might next summer have to improve on. Can we do that in January, though? I'm not sure. It'd be a big risk, and I would just finally add to that this season so far, poor start, fantastic last couple of months, but it will ramp up. We will hopefully be having deep run in the Europa League, so you're looking at quarterfinals, semi-finals, round of 16s, that big football matches, big games. If we are knocking around the top 4, top 5 come February, March, April time, when kind of the going really does get tough with the European games as well, with the FA Cup too, there's a lot of pressure on those players. And if we're already talking right now, when the pressure's kind of off in some ways, about not having that backup striker, Sancho not quite fitting in at the moment, Gesson not quite finding his stride, suddenly I think our squad could creak. So that's why I think January could be actually very important for us. But we've got to be very careful as well in terms of what we do and how we spend. Very careful in terms of who we're adding, but then on the finances as well. So for now, let's kind of just bask in the results that we're having. But I do think we have some very important kind of weeks ahead in terms of planning for that window as well. The new sporting director as well, Roberto Olabe, has now started work at Villa, had his work permit come through recently. So
I suppose that's the compromise, though, John, is probably what we did last January then, in terms of being quite shrewd around the loan market, whereby, yes, you are taking on a 4 or 5 month commitment in terms of wages, but not having as a longer term commitment necessarily, unless the loanees justify it. I thought we played the blinder last year, didn't we, with the impact that
we did.
Rashford, Asensio, to a lesser extent, Disasi gave us. I mean, ultimately, I suppose you could say that it didn't quite pay off because we didn't make the Champions League. We didn't go on and win the FA Cup. And listen, I don't think you can have too many grumbles about this stage
No.
of the Champions League that we got to.
No.
But I think that's probably your best bet.
Yeah, well, I'd argue that they paid off in terms of getting deep in the Champions League's lucrative. We might not even got in the Europa League if we didn't sign those players. But then you look at Harvey Elliott and you say, well, that if Harvey Elliott was still at Liverpool and weren't getting games, you'd say, well, we could bring him in and he'd be a useful addition. And look what's happened with that. So, yeah, Alaba will have to work closely with Emery to identify what he wants and what he needs. I think that's probably going to wrap us up. Do you think, Matt? What have we been going for? Oh, literally an hour now. So
yeah, we've timed that quite well. The only final thing I wanted to say was, again, talking of Aston Villa strikers, we've had some really good feedback from the Dean Saunders episode that we put out last week. Again, that's available on YouTube and across podcast platforms. One thing that I was really, really pleased with, Dalian Atkinson's brother Paul dropped me a text over the weekend just to say how much he enjoyed it and how Dino spoke fondly of his old mate and his old strike partner. And I think I can't remember, I'm paraphrasing here, but saying how we were blessed to have seen them together as a partnership, and echo every word of that. So if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I think it's about 50 minutes long. Seek out some time to watch that as well. And thank you for watching me and John. We've tried to muddle through without the adults in the room. We've done all right, I think, haven't we?
Well, yeah, we haven't finished just quite yet. It could all go wrong still, but no, I think we're good. I'm just going to quickly post that Dean Saunders interview in the comments, which Matt did a few days ago. So if you want to watch that, then it's in there. But yeah, no, I think we're done, Matt. I think the next time we'll have a show would be Thursday. I think Dan will be back on the channel then. Will you be on that one? The post-match?
Yeah, we've got the post-match. I mean, that's going to be a nightmare getting to Villa Park. Quarter six kickoff. I think McGinn tweeted something about spaghetti junction that night. So yeah, make sure you clear it with your bosses to finish early. You're right, John. Clear it with your bosses to finish early and allow yourself enough time for that commute wherever you're travelling from. Me and Dan, I think, will be on the post match after that game, and I think we've got a claret and brew going out before then. Maybe Wednesday, maybe tomorrow, maybe Wednesday.
Tomorrow Wednesday, one of the days.
It's in our handover notes from Dan.
Yeah.
I've not read them, but we will do.
So you'll have one episode before Young Boys, and then it's on to Wolves, and then you've got Brighton and Arsenal the week after that, and then Basel and West Ham. Jesus, it's a lot of games. What's that? Six games in the next 3 weeks. So yeah, plenty of football. Then it's Man United before Christmas. So, and that will come around before we know it. So yeah, lots to go at. Thanks for joining me today, Matt. Thanks for everyone for the comments and the support as always. Do we say like the video and subscribe? If we do, then please feel free.
Do all that bells and whistles. Say nice things about us. Click what you've got to click.
Yeah, I think it's 5 stars on Apple reviews or iTunes. Is that a thing anymore? Jeez, what a terrible outro. And then also click the bell on the subscribe button. So when we post, I think you get an alert when we're live or when we posted, so you're not going to miss an episode if you do so. Cheers everyone, and we'll see you either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then if not, we'll see you on the post match after Villa beat Young Boys. So everyone,
lovely stuff. Up the Villa.